The creative force, and this primal force that generates in the human body, when used in accordance with natural law, serve to perpetuate the race. And this same force, which, when recognized, properly understood, and rightly used, will regenerate the body, strengthen the mind, build up character, and develop a true and pure manhood and womanhood. Generation is the method by which this force is used for the reproduction of the race. On the other hand, regeneration is the method by which this force, or the creative principle of this force, is used for renewing and strengthening the tissues of the body, thereby bringing it to its greatest possible perfection and making it a fit habitation for its divine ruler, the soul. And now this same force in its finer forms tend to refine the nature of a man. Thus a clear understanding and intelligent application of the creative elements will result in a healthy and strong body, intelligently ruled by a healthy mind and a spiritual soul. Now the ancient occultists well knew about these organs of reproduction were not only intended for the function of generation, but those of regeneration as well. These are the legitimate uses of the sex force, which should never be exercised solely for the pleasure it affords, because of the great importance of keeping the creative forces sacred to their intended purpose. Now, all ancient orders insisted on chastity among their disciples. They thought that this great force is so terribly wasted by the unknowing multitude, could be transmuted by wise restraint into such vigor and vitality that all physical weakness could be overcome, and the exhausted vital forces renewed. Furthermore, by their intention and the reabsorption of the seminal fluids in the body, accepting only such a use for the purpose of procreation, the magnetic qualities as well as the mental and spiritual powers of the individual are wonderfully increased. Now this is strikingly illustrated in the case of great inventors and scientists who, while working out their problems, become so absorbed in their work that they never even think of a sex relation. They hardly think of food, and their hours of sleep are so greatly reduced that under ordinary conditions they would be prostrated. Yet they continue under this strain for long periods of time, and their efforts are crowned with success. How was this made possible? Well, by their continence during the period of strain, their retention of the seminal fluid, which was transmuted by the wonderful chemistry of nature into the vital energy needed to carry on their work. Now, sexual indulgence is not necessary to health. Many young men harbor this erroneous idea that the reproductive organs, like the muscles, are developed through exercise and become weak through the disuse of it. Now, if that were true, the boy who exercises them regularly for his 10th year onward should have the greatest sexual power, but everyone knows this is the opposite. They lose their sexual power. Now, the sexual power is never lost through abstinence from cohabitation, any more than the ability to weep is lost through abstinence from weeping. Now, impotence or loss of manhood is usually the direct result of this venereal disease or of sexual excesses. Now, we should be masters of ourselves and our passions, not their slaves. Habits grow upon us by imperceptible degrees, but are hard, sometimes almost impossible to break. Now, false sexual habits convert constructive forces into destructive ones. The formation of right habits in the growing boy should therefore be the first object of our care. Married people are more prone to the abuse of their sex powers and waste their forces than the unmarried, not only because of the opportunity, but because being married, they feel privileged to indulge to the full extent of their desire, ignorant of the fact that they are wasting their forces. Now, the exercise of the function is of course unquestionably right if children are desired. If not, it is a detriment. We must live in accordance with the natural law. To the reader who has transgressed this law and has squandered his forces away, stop it now. Determine that you will travel the right path in the future. Now, all things are possible to him who lives rightly. Do not say, I would like to, but I cannot. Say rather, I will. Set a high ideal, set a high ideal before you, determined to reach it. If you do this, you will without a doubt not only reach, but you will surpass it. Your growth from this time will be a conscious growth, and a few years of conscious growth will accomplish more than many years of thoughtless drifting. Don't be content to drift with the tide, nor satisfied with the little things of life. but seize the reins, control your forces, secure the jewels of real value that alone are worth striving for.